The audience is in real shock because they don't understand why there is yellow and red lights. Zeke doesn't want to attract attention, so he is not talking for it. Abel speaks up to the audience to embrace the two pure-blood awakening. He asks the audience to celebrate this event. The guest realizes this and starts to celebrate. Abel asks the instructors to go and get a glove to the newest member. Zeke wears it, and it appears that is quite hefty. Zeke understands Abel's intention and feels like shit that is accepting his help. As the event closes, everyone goes to party except Zeke, as he is trying to go to a training room. Zeke is summoned for a more intimate interaction as Abel approaches him with a smug grin, inviting him to shake hands. Zeke, though hesitant, reluctantly agrees, all the while internally mocking the situation. Abel's joviality doesn't fool Zeke, who finds the gesture distasteful but plays along to maintain his image. With the handshake uncompleted, Abel comments on Zeke's unusual response, brushing off Zeke's discomfort and preparing to further assert his influence. Meanwhile, Zeke struggles with the interaction, hiding his disdain as he watches. Abel moves on to the next part of the event. The audience continues to murmur, recognizing Zeke's potential and the power in his veins. Zeke is visibly relieved as he breathes out deeply, commenting to himself that he almost suffocated in a confined space. He looks around and realizes he is fine, but his thoughts shift to the fact that pure-blood awakenings all have the ability to inhibit mana. This is something that sets them apart from regular individuals, as the ability reflects their opposition to dragons, the source of mana. Zeke reflects on his situation and remembers that if he had been a pure-blood, he would have been facing some challenges with mana lamps. But he notes that there were no issues with the lamps due to the nature of his abilities, leading him to think that something isn't quite right. He proceeds to open a window displaying his class stats, revealing that he now has a unique class, Immortal, bestowed by the blessing of the ancient dragon. He continues to analyze the system window, noting his newly unlocked skills. Among them, Mana Reflection catches his attention, while the healing abilities are expected. The reflection of mana is categorized as a skill, not a passive trait. Further investigation leads him to understand that while mana lamps were unaffected, a significant loss of class-related data was evident in the system's classification terminal. He muses about how his awakening wasn't registered under the expected classification, and this confusion grows as the terminal's system attempts to classify him further. As he digs deeper, Zeke's curiosity peaks, leading him to unlock his draconian skills, including Dragon Eyes and Might of the Dragon, both of which enhance his sensory and combat prowess. With the unlock of these skills, Zeke begins to understand more about his potential. In the following moments, Zeke tests his newfound power by activating the Dragon Eyes skill, which reveals detailed information about his surroundings. However, while it provides more clarity, it doesn't change much in his immediate perception. He sees a statue in the garden and realizes it might be more useful than it first appeared, hinting at further possibilities for him to explore. Zeke, now outside and testing the limits of his newly acquired powers. He stands still, momentarily confused as his abilities seem to trigger in unexpected ways. Zeke is still figuring out his powers, looking at an object with curiosity and a slight sense of confusion. A window appears with detailed information about the object, listing its origins and construction materials. Zeke's face contorts in surprise, unable to comprehend why he is receiving such data on simple objects. The overwhelming influx of information gives him a headache, and his body reacts, his fiery eyes showing his unease. He wonders aloud if all draconian abilities are this taxing. Zeke activates several class skills. He inadvertently triggers Vigor Recovery, which begins to show its effects. He sits down, looking slightly overwhelmed, and wonders why healing, which he didn't intend to use, was activated instead. The abilities around him seem to function passively. Zeke, now fascinated, tests the system, further by applying his healing factor to a self-inflicted wound. When he cuts himself, his injury rapidly heals in front of him, leaving him even more in awe of the overwhelming power he now possesses. Zeke's thoughts turn more practical as he contemplates the Academy's lengthy journey and his accelerated plans. Determined, he resolves to finish it. all within 2 years instead of 5, expressing his newfound confidence in the process.